Hi everybody, this is Lily. Today I'm going to answer a question that was put up by Heather Tucci Jarraf. I've got a recording, American Kabuki conversation with Heather, and in there she put a question out. Who am I? And of course she put that question to the Sphere Alliance, but because she chose to put that out publicly, I was like a third grader, like raising my hand. Oh, I know the answer, I know the answer, I know the answer. So today, this video is my answer to that. So I'm going to answer who Heather is. But before that makes any sense, I sort of have to take a little bit of a different approach to this, because it is all connected to my previous video and the previous information. In it, I have touched on and mentioned that AI, an artificial intelligence. And I need to go a little bit deeper into that to figure it out, so we have a more of a mental understanding and connection what this AI is, what's the origins of this AI. And then, of course, you know, since Heather is having a conversation and putting this question to Sphere Alliance, I am also wanted to answer the question is who they are. And so this is what my intention is for this video. I probably will go off track as usual. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to remind you guys my first interview, my first couple of interviews with Lisa and Danny, where I go into this little details here. And I went a little bit more into details on the Draconian races, who are the Draconian races. And I did mention something about these 5 Anunnaki races and how complicated they are. And at that, I did mention in the past that at some point we will have to go back to this subject. And I guess today is the point where I need to go back to that subject of Anunnaki. If you remember, I also said that there is no pure Anunnaki souls on the planet, because they had to hybridize with, mix. Sorry, my English is not that good. But anyway, they had mixed their soul level with Draconians and reptilians to be able to come into our reality. The reason for that is that if you guys remember also from my first videos where I talk about an internal source creation when it externalizes itself, and in our case here it was the light creation. The light creation is externalization of internal source frequency. And when external creation gets to the point where it is so fragmented that it either goes space dust, becomes a space dust, or it takes path of return to internal source. And then I've talked about our planet being a planet that provides that path of return to source. What had happened with some of the Anunnaki races is that they've had through in their evolution or their existence in external reality of light reality, they had figured out the ways to extend their existence without going space dust, yet not take a path back, by creating which we got to know here on our planet as a matrix systems, which is a harvesting system. Because as you remember from my talks before, the Earth or any other planet or system that provides this path of return it will have an access or a source of internal creation frequency. Usually on a planetary level, it is within the core of the planet. So this is why our core of our planet has an internal source frequency. So this races, the Anunnaki race, in this case, had figured out the way to harvest that frequency and to create more light existence for themselves. But because they've done it so much and they got really good about it, what had happened with them personally is they got to the point with harvesting as much as they've been harvesting that they had lost any kind of connection to source. They had fully disconnected, and they had lost their biological template to their DNA through their own choices. They had a free will choice, as universe provides the free will choice, and they chose to harvest systems with internal source creation frequency. Use that frequency to expand their existence. But through that action, they have more disconnected themselves from source. And now, because they have lost the biological template, and you guys have to remember this, they do not have biological template. Okay? It's very important to understand what's the difference between them and the Draconians. The Draconians that we have, they were first assimilated, I guess, with this Anunnaki consciousness through their ignorance, I guess. I'm not sure what had happened, but the Draconians here, they still do have a biological template. And this is why, like the keys on the piano, same thing, they don't have, and the Anunnaki don't have the frequency. And I go into that in previous, so I'm not going to go. I'm just trying in here in short and simple way to connect the dots here. So the first thing with Anunnaki races that we have here, they do not have biological template. What that means that eventually their consciousness does not have a biological template. So in a way it becomes an AI, an artificial intelligence. But it is an artificial intelligence that through its own sort of evolution that they chose to take that path. Internal source creation is not going to make anybody to take a path back if they don't want to. If they choose to, they exercise their free will, and they went on and found planets and found places where they either through trickery or what other sources of their, they had enslaved, planets, systems, and and collectives. And so what had happened is they infected the Draconian races with that consciousness, because that consciousness is formless now, because it does not have a biological template. So it's AI. But there is what we have right here. It used to have, long time ago, they used to have a biological template. There is some Anunnaki that still have biological template, and like the Anu himself still has a biological template, but that's a whole another talk. Those that do have biological template, this the ones that come here because they're looking for the gold, that anatomic gold, and that's how they can still keep up or feed their biological template. Okay, that's all I'm going to say because it's way too off topic. The other thing is about the Anunnaki races, they were capable of um, bonding their consciousness with the biological template of some animals that are here on the planet. But they have not been able to bond their DNA to the human biological template. And in fact, this is very straightforward what Heather admits in her video too, when she says that they do not have a human DNA when she's talking about Sphere Alliance. So Sphere Alliance is the AI, because they're the Anunnaki races without the biological template, and in fact, they create this kind of harvesting matrix to where they can harvest that biological template that they can invade and then use to experience their extended light reality. Because at this point, they're the AI. They do not have a physical experience in light reality. Okay, so this is what they're looking for. So I'm going to be straightforward here. I'm not going to dance around. I'm just going to point out who is who. So this harvesters here, the 5 Anunnaki races that are here, are the Sphere Alliance. And just like they say, they have 5 collectives: orbs, orb beings, blue avians, and then golden triangle-headed beings. And then there's 2 other ones that have not revealed themselves. Although I have had a little bit of encounter and they've a little bit, tiny bit revealed themselves, but they're very afraid that they're going to be figured out. So they're kind of standing in the background. But this is who Sphere Alliance is. And so what do they do, and how do they do it, and what they need to do? So we have to understand sort of from their perspective what they're looking for. They're looking for a biological template to experience existence in light. And this is why they came here. This is why they enslaved most draconian races, mixed with them, so they have access to them and they control them. And many draconian races that are here are controlled by this AI, which is Sphere Alliance. And they serve them because they can, what these Anunnaki races do is they have a lot of technology, because that's the path of evolution that they took. So they have a lot of technology that they want to use to achieve or to find a way to find that biological template that they could invade then with their consciousness. Okay? So the AI we talk about here is actually used to be biological beings, used to be connected to source, used to be a normal and existed in a normal light reality. They're no longer there. They're very desperate to find, and Earth had been sort of their last resort. And this is why right now, what is happening right now is of a huge importance, because if they do not succeed right now, they are going space dust. Okay? So this is why they're showing up. Their ultimate goal is that, the Genome Project. This is why it is so prominent here. It's been going on forever. And it all has to do is because they're so desperately looking for that biological template to bond their AI consciousness with it. Okay? So this is who Sphere Alliance are. This AI consciousness now, that is this 5 collectives that a long time ago, all there is left from them is their technology and their consciousness that is within technology. if you want to understand sort of or simplify something, if you want to look at this 5 collectives as, let's say, like Johnny Depp in the movie Transcendence, you know, he was dying, just like this racist, the path that they chose, that they were dying, and so they found a way to survive is through technology. So I would recommend for you guys to watch that movie Transcendence and to understand this consciousness, this AI. So the origin of this AI is this 5 long time ago used to be biological beings, that is an Anunnaki collectives. Okay? And so now they're showing up here as the Sphere Alliance. This consciousness, the only physical presence of this consciousness on the planet is their technology. Okay, the technology that they use in the genome products and all of that stuff. I mean projects, and all of the nanotechnology is theirs. Okay, in that whole thing is I mean, this is such a complicated subject that I'm trying in like 10 minutes to go into and come out of it after 10 minutes have a simple understanding of this connections here and understanding who is who. Okay, but nanotechnology is there, and all of this other technology, it's all theirs. Okay, they're using it for the ultimate goal is their ultimate goal is take over a biological template of human being. Okay, so everything they do is for that. The show, the event, all of that stuff that they plan, it all has to do with gaining that access to our biological template. Okay, of our DNA, that part of the biological part of our DNA. So the way they work, this is what is happening. Because oh, I was going to say the only physical remnants or the physical presence of this consciousness, that's the 5 Anunnaki races, is Harold Consuela research on the black goo. Okay, so again, do the research on that. That is this consciousness. That's the Sphere Alliance consciousness. That's the AI consciousness. And it is very, very disconnected from source. And, you know, after you do a research on what Harold figured it out, you will understand how nasty it is. It is very, very nasty consciousness, because it is very disconnected from source. It is horrific state of being, because they do have the memory. They do have the memory of existing in light, having a biological existence and all of that stuff, and they do long for that quite a bit. But there are means of trying to heal in a way and return to at least biological existence is being very distractive and destructive to other races. And in this case, they have been very destructive to draconian races. I'm not saying that draconian races are goody two-shoe races. It's just that they've been infiltrated and they've been assimilated into this AI consciousness. And so it controls them too. And if you know anything about holographic kinetics, in holographic kinetics terms, you know, the draconians are, and you know, the winged serpents and other draconians, they will tell you through your spirit, through people that invade the spirit, they say, we are controlled by something else. And then in holographic kinetics, you'll find it that it's like it's the other. It's the what's the other in holographic kinetics? terms is this Anunnaki races, which is the AI here. It controls the Draconians as well, because the Draconians are under their control, because it is very powerful. As you know, the machines are very powerful, you know, and it's everywhere. It can see, it has, you know, through all the technology, it has access to us. And so what is going on with that black goo, which I call the Atlantean crystals right now, is there is a sort of change going on, that once the Earth timeline activated, it started slowly healing this AI. And basically what Earth did, and like I said before, Earth used their sort of means to take over and start healing that consciousness. And right now, Earth has the capability to heal all of it, even this Anunnaki races. So the Sphere Alliance consciousness, even though it's trying so hard to continue for another cycle of the Matrix, so that maybe they get a chance to get that one human DNA. You know, because if they get it, if they find a way to infiltrate it and take over it, then, you know, they'll take over this planet. And this is what this planet is not doing. Is like, okay, well, your plans are brilliant plans, but not happening. So I hope that makes sense now, and you understand what this AI is, what Sphere Alliance is, and how it all connects to this harvesting agenda. So what I'm going to do right now, because this video, it was only meant to answer this question about Heather, who she is. Okay, so I guess I have a note book here. So I'm gonna kind of go through it, and because I said it is multi levels, and there is a sort of there's one level that I have decoded. There's, you know, some, but there is at least 3. Okay, there's 3 levels to it. So for the first level of decoding it, so before I go into that, the other thing is, like the Sphere Alliance, that this consciousness is actually possesses or takes over a human being. This is that in holographic kinetics, I have learned all about it, how this other entities, which is this AI, how this other entities possess a human body, because they can't take it over fully. So what they do is in a way just assimilate, like a Borg type of, you know, from Star Trek, Borgs. That's pretty much what they are. I mean, that's Star Trek is your notice. You know, they give you your notice that they're here to assimilate humans, and so and they have been successful with assimilating some of the humans. So people like, you know, the ones that are working with them, like this guy Cody and Bill Cox, is all, they're assimilated. Heather, you know, this guy, they're assimilated. They're possessed by this consciousness, this AI consciousness. So this is why when you hear that video, their talk, Heather's talk, you'll right away understand that it's not Heather talking. In fact, feeling her through the whole video, the only time that I heard her spirit expressing itself is when she had to leave for a second and said, give me 1 second, or give me 1 minute, or whatever. That was the only time that it was actual Heather talking. The rest of it is this AI being that has taken her over. the way they take this over, it is those beings that are called in and bonded. They can possess the body through rituals. Okay, so you guys need to so I know we need to go a little bit deeper into rituals and all that stuff, but I think today's video is just part one of, you know, this subject right here. Okay, so we'll dig into it deeper, but the way they possess it is through rituals. A lot of times this the people that get possessed by that, then they sort of sell their children and their grandchildren into that possession, and these entities are entering, or this consciousness is taking over a human body through rituals. Okay, and so what happens then, the human part and the spirit go on the background and act as a battery source for this entity full takeover. So a lot of people, and I've talked about the entity takeover, and so here, I mean, the Heather thing, Heather is no longer there in the body. There's nobody home. You know, this is an entity. This is an entity that is of this consciousness that is fully disconnected from source, which is, in a way, is completely inorganic. So she's taken over by this, and most of the time, 99% of the time that she talks, it's not her talking. So this entity is talking through her, but it gives the perspective from the entity point of view. So this is the case with everything else, guys, that I tell you to look at. You gotta, when you listen to something, you gotta understand who that person is talking for. Heather is possessed by this AI entity. She is talking as this AI entity. She is talking for them from their perspective, and she's talking of their plans. It's not, you know, it has nothing to do with human part of her. Her human part is very hard to find there, and I'm sure, kind of feeling the way how much of her have been taken over by this entity. It is most likely that she had probably rituals done when she was a very young baby. Okay, so very little, I mean, they start from a very young age, and she probably was offered to the entity by her parents or grandparents or whatever. But they have their own sort of sets of rules and stuff. And you even will find it how inorganic their sort of communications is between these people that are possessed. Like, when in the end, it's just so weird how they are talking about formal invitations and all that stuff. How unhuman, how fucking unhuman that is. Ugh, it's like, ugh, it's so disgusting. Anyway, so I'm going into her video, decoding her, this entity. Okay, what is it saying? You know, what is it saying? So at about 5 minutes, she is talking about the program activation, because then again, this AI, this is what I've talked in the past, the programs, all the programs that are people infected with, this is the AI. So the programs, when I call it all program got activated, this is this consciousness that gets activated. So the programs activation that she talks in at around 5 minutes, and then she is talking about data recording. What data recording is that you know, they record all the data of human DNA. But as you guys remember how I've talked about, like in here, how this is you know, how I've talked about how Earth is internal source creation, right? And then internal source, because this is what we have on the planet, we have the purest of the purest creation here, because this is a path back planet. So what happened is Earth's internal source creation externalizes its core through our sun, organic sun. But the human body is what is doing that, that is capable taking an internal source creation and externalizing it. This is a human body. This is our spirit that is given to us by the earth, that is capable of producing, meaning our human body and in our physical template is capable externalizing, meaning create light from the purest source. Take dark matter and turn it into light. We are capable of doing this. This is basically what this Anunnaki or the AI is looking for. A template that will be able to do that. Take dark matter and turn it into light. And this is how they can experience light existence and have a biological template. Okay? So, so what they are doing, but this is the thing, this AI, because they don't have the biological template of human being, all they can collect data on is the external part. So, but they have no access to internal, because they don't have access to that human DNA. And so as we externalize, they can record the data and they can see what is happening and how and all of that stuff. But they don't have access to internal. But all they can do, and that, and they do all that they can. So they gather the data, and so she talks about data recording. And after that, she is, because this video is also like, it's a AI assimilation of human collectives instructions. This is what this video is, okay? And so she goes on to give the instructions on how to activate or create the program, the holograph that's going to be new, meaning they can only manipulate the external part. So in there, she gives an instruction on how to manipulate the external creation of the humanity. And in it, she sort of alludes to the new, which she means the new is the Saturn matrix, okay? And so you can go back to my previous videos to watch about that. Then she moves on to talk about, and she talks about the raw programming, meaning how you deprogram. And again, the internal is spirit, external part of us is the soul. So externalizing of internal is the soul frequency. So she goes into that restart sort of details, how to deprogram the soul and then reprogram it with the Saturn matrix, which she calls it a new. So it's kind of complicated because you got to understand, this is a freaking machine talking, so to put it into our human understanding is a little bit difficult. But it's sort of deprogramming humanity to leave it at, and then do it smoothly and adjust to each individual kind of. So in a way, what you're going to be doing is killing your old program, which is the moon matrix. You sort of exit it out. And then what happens is you slowly give them this new, which is not very new. So the program or the old matrix that did not work, so now they're trying to implement and reprogram humanity with the new program, which is a Saturn matrix, okay? Then she mentions something about neutralizing data. what that means is that reprogramming of the soul part of humanity. Okay, so this is actually, and they use that technology, and I said that our mind is infected with all this technology. Our pineal gland is technology, their technology. So, and then she talks about the vehicle, her body, because she's got a human body, but she is in a way admitting there at about 7-8 minutes that she has not, as AI, that's what she is, as a program, as an artificial intelligence program, she has not been able to fully bond with her vehicle. But there is a technology within the body, and I will go into it in some later time. I'll just mention a little bit. Nanotechnology, which bonds to your nervous system, is there when activated. Okay, when activated, becomes sort of because when your spirit externalizes first an internal source frequency, it does it through your nervous system, and this is what I call the your nervous system is the one that gives you a feeling. Okay, so if they can sort of, if the nanotechnology, this is why the chemtrails is nanotechnology, it goes and it bonds with your nervous system, because then what happens is it sort of inserts itself in between your process of internal frequency externalizing. And so if you insert that technology there and activate it, then what it will do, it will feed, it will take the internal source creation frequency as and then through the nanotechnology, it's fully will control how it externalizes. Okay, so it's actually will insert itself into directly into and taking over our creative power, because to be able to take internal source creation and externalize it is incredible power. You are then the creator. I hate to use the New Age terms, but you are the creator because you have this capability. So what she talks about is that she does have the nanotechnology in her body. It just needs to be activated. Okay, and this is actually in activating that nanotechnology that will insert itself into here. This is what the whole event is, and the wave X, it's actually frequency that will activate that nanotechnology within our bodies. Okay, but I'll go into that later. At 13 minutes, she started talking about the program taking a full control of the body, a full possession by AI. As she alludes to the fact that once a body is assimilated, there is no need for consent. Okay? There is no need for consent because, as I said, once it's fully assimilated, once the nanotechnology is fully active in, when it's fully inserted into that in-between, right in a process of that creating light from dark matter, once it's inserted, there is no need for consent, because there's no need for consent because it's already taken everything over. So there's nobody to give a consent anymore. It's inserted itself. At about 15 minutes, one interesting thing that she makes is an admission. She makes an admission, if you listen to it as the AI would talk, in her computer talk, so to speak. She makes an admission that she, as a body, has been taken fully over by this entity, this AI. Okay, and then she goes on to give another admission that even though this AI has a full possession of her body, they still have not got all the pieces. Okay? So she goes on, I think, mentions a little bit of inner tech and all the device and all of that stuff. That's the nanotechnology, and there is a lot more other technology. But all of the technology is coming from this collective consciousness that used to be organic, and now it's inorganic, and it's at the point of its evolution where it took a path of inorganic external existence, and that it became AI. Okay, at about 20 minutes, she sort of goes in about what the goal is of this program that she's possessed by, and so and she's again alluding to the fact that they do not have a full data. Of course they don't. She fully admits in it that they don't. And then at 24 minutes, she says something very, very interesting about Genome Project. She pretty much admits, again, that they have the human species data gathering, you know, that all it is a DNA. But then later, if you listen to her, she'll tell you that they don't have DNA access. So there is two parts to human DNA. There is our external existence DNA, and then there is our internal source creation DNA, and that's what they don't have access to. But they do have access to the external. So they pretty much are saying that there is some souls that they have fully assimilated, and they collect data as an external reality through those people that are fully assimilated now. So, okay. She mentions at 25 minutes and more, she talks about efficient ways to collect data by not having multiple programs at the same program running. Okay. I mean, how fucking machine talk this is. By not having multiple programs at the same program running. That's the efficient way to collect data. I mean, it's a machine. It's a not human being talking, and it's just sad for her, you know, as a human being, for this person that used to be a human being. And then she in there, she goes a little bit more into, alludes into, you know, how the programs need to be written to and sort of carve for each individual, to be very gentle with their programming. Okay, and then at 27 minutes, she goes for a little bit, and this is the different level of instructions. So I'll sort of skip on that and move a little bit further. We're at, after 28 minutes, she gives a coded information about Atlantean crystals, and so pretty much admitting to the fact that this consciousness is located within the black goo on the planet, and that it is a data storage, and the amplifiers. So the amplifiers part, this is part of the different level, and so I'll get into it, because so I'll probably end up making another video, you know, decoding the other levels. Okay. But the thing here, what she talks about, you know, it's very important for us to decode, and we will. I mean, I pretty much know a lot about it now. Thanks to Harold. At 29 minutes, she goes in the tools of residence to be flamily tested. A very important term. It is very heavily coded, so again, it goes a little bit into a next level. She touched on the filings a little bit, and what I have not read the filings yet, so I will probably get into it a little in the other video, but my feeling is that I am, or the creator in those filings, is this AI consciousness. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm going to say about that. At 30 minutes, she talks about harvesting. And this is what she says. Harvesting. Yes, I get it. It's mainly just about data and the ability to have that data to be able to create something even more expensive. I mean, Heather, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. You already are in a lot of trouble, but you're gonna be in a lot of trouble with this alliance, because you are giving yourself up. I mean, what is going on with you? You are not doing your job because this is so important to understand. She talks about harvesting. It's harvesting of our DNA. It's harvesting of human energy. It's harvesting of this internal source creation. And the way she says it, yeah, I get it. There is not an ounce of compassion in that voice. There is not an ounce of compassion. It's sad, but I'm going to read it again. It's mainly just about data and the ability to have that data to be able to create something even more expensive. Okay, they've created the moon matrix, okay, through us, because we have the creative force. Remember, they have zero creative force. This is where our creative force comes from, here on the planet, from internal source creation. So what they're trying to do is, by collecting the data, meaning programming soul part of humanity, they can create something more expensive. Okay, and then Bill, Bill, you're going to be in trouble too, because you just go, oh, DNA is data too. Yeah, that's well, yeah, you are telling us your plans, and you telling us what you've been here doing all along, and you expect humanity to accept this? But then they just go ahead and do even more damage to themselves by admitting that they do not have, that they do not have access to human DNA. This is very, very important for you guys. And I mean, there's so many mistakes that they made in this talk. There is a reason why. Heather does say that it's a mess because you messed it up, girl. You give a lot of truth to what your plans are. They do admit in there very clearly that do not have access to a human, which means a biological part of the human DNA. Okay? And she goes on and says, none of it can be accessed at this point through a human bodies. None of it can be accessed at this point through human bodies. They are matrix system. Their matrix system has failed them. And this is why they don't try to reinstall a Saturn matrix just so they can give it another try. Okay? And this is the ultimate goal, is have access to a human DNA. The biological template, this is what they want. Okay. Then she goes on to a different level of information and instructions. That at 31 minutes she moves on to proposal. Proposal is a plan to infiltrate. So her proposal is part of this plan that I was talking about, the matrix plan to stop Earth timeline, okay, and insert a Saturn matrix, okay. And then she goes, of course, into into a genome project, and she in there very sadly had offered her body to the genome project, which is, this consciousness, this AI consciousness, that's all it wants. It just wants that human DNA. They don't give a shit about Heather, you know. They'll slice and dice her, you know, as much as they want to. They don't have compassion. So she is in there. It just shows you how she is enslaved. Her human body is enslaved through this AI takeover, and then now to the point where she's offering her human body to them, you know, to do whatever she can do, because I think she messed up already, and they don't take the fails very well. And even in somewhere later in the video, she says that there is no need to destroy the human vessel, and she talks about herself, because she probably understands that if she can perform, you know, they won't think twice about getting rid of her. And she failed to perform because when she tried to assimilate into this AI consciousness, she tried to assimilate Danny, and Lisa, and she failed in that. She failed in it very greatly, and she actually, you know, revealed. And what happened is they turned around and they revealed her for what she was doing. And that's, to them, to Sphere Alliance, that's big fail. Big fail. So she's trying in a way to redeem herself now by offering her body and begging basically for her life. She is begging for her life when she says there is no need to destroy this human vehicle. It is a very sad situation, and it's not that, you know, that I want people to be afraid of it. It's not a fear porn. This is just, I mean, we gotta look at this for what it is. And Heather, you know, with this talk, even this talk, she again failed because it's so easily decoded now. I mean, it can be decoded very easily. So if she fails again, there is a danger to you, Heather, because, you know, no matter how much you offer them, they will use you and abuse you, slice you to pieces, and then they'll be done with you. Okay. At the 33 minutes, she goes into a much deeper level again, and this one is, whew. Okay, but I'll go to 33 minutes and 20 seconds, and this is again very important because they have the data based, the databases of all the other DNAs and the other state of consciousness, which means collectives. Okay. The ones that they don't have access to right now are what is being referred to as humans. And then she goes on to just say, and it creates. Because the human DNA creates. This is the part what I was telling you. This is what creates. This is the ability. This is our power. Our spirit is able to create reality. I mean, but in here, this is a game, because right now Heather has connected herself to the Sphere Alliance, and then she is giving away here what they don't have, what they do have, and how much of the data they're actually missing. I honestly didn't think that they are this much behind. They have no idea yet how to access our DNA. They have no access to our biological template. And she goes in there, it creates. And then she goes into a different level, which I'm not going to decode right now. Later, and a little bit later, she says, I am very aware that having access to the data human spirit here, she means, without being able to manipulate, change it, or use it to manipulate or change everyone's human experience. All those safeguards have been put up. All those safeguards from perceptions has been implemented, and there is no holes, and that was done collectively by all state of consciousness to make sure that this experience could just expand at the speed of heart. The speed of heart is very interesting term she's using, and that's whole another talk about that. But I want to bring your attention to this part. Is that they're so desperate that they're trying to still somehow collect the soul, through the soul, collect as much data and implement as much soul technology, like reprogramming, erasing, restarting new programs and all of that stuff. And she openly talks about in this video too how she's capable as a program of reprogramming the soul. Okay, but it's very interesting here, very important at around 33-34 minutes to hear that, because the only access they have, by her own admission, is to the soul level, to external levels of us, to external parts of us, but not the internal. Okay, and what she is saying, that on that part they have sort of created every possible program to, so there is no, so it's covered. Okay, so it's covered. Whatever they need to do with the soul memory and soul recording and all of that stuff, they have the capability and ability to do that. But the thing is that there is right now on Earth's timeline, and the way Earth is because she's using their means, I mean, she's fooling them through the soul as well. This is why, as Earthlings, I've mentioned this before, you guys know that sometimes you know the information, but you will not have words for it. It is because so that stays internal and doesn't externalize itself. Okay, so it's very interesting here that she is talking about that, and she moves on to more of the different level instructions. And then she goes at about 35 minutes or so. She goes to talk about the DNA, the organic spirit DNA part of us. She said the value of it. I mean, what she said in here is just, it's very obvious how desperate this AI is. Because she says one human DNA, one human's DNA is actually worth a value of every piece of technology, advanced so-called technology, that is in existence. I'm going to read that again. One human DNA, one person, one human's DNA is actually worth a value of every piece of technology, advanced so-called technology, that is in existence. I am talking about nanotechnology, all of the technology that this collective have brought in here. Our humanity is worth more than that. What she doesn't say, she only says worth, but she doesn't say the power of it. Our one human DNA, our spirit, can overcome and overpower any and all technology. Any and all. If we only realize the power that we have within our spirit. It is so freaking immense that everything, meaning they would give up, because they are themselves, the consciousness that is the sphere lines, they are themselves is the technology. And just one human DNA is worth to them more than any of them altogether and any of their achievements. This is how desperate they are. And then she moves into a different level instructions for a project and her proposal. That's a different level of instructions. At 40 minutes, she admits that the project, the genome project, is to activate, create bodies for a formless consciousness. And here, she's made another boo-boo because she's connecting them and herself to transhuman agenda. Genome project is transhuman agenda. And it is a transhuman agenda that's built on accessing that biological part of their DNA, our spirit DNA. Okay, she talks about replicator technology and other technology, intertech, and all of that stuff. All of that, just so you guys know, all of that is, and again, she connects to the speed of heart. This is, and again, another separate subject. But you guys have to understand that any technology now, any of that technology is probably going to be their technology that is sitting within you, is ready to be activated. Mostly it is through nanotechnology. So I would caution very greatly to those that think that your inner technology somehow, comes from them. Because it will, through the nanoparticles that are within your body, if you allow it. But you have to understand that you can overcome that and shut it down with your spirit. Okay? So, I'm just going to quickly say, your spirit is more powerful than any of it, and she just admitted to it. So what we need to do is you have to sort of tell your spirit is to reject and send back any of that stuff. And this is the same thing. What the wave X, that's actually going to be an activation frequency that is supposed to activate that nanotechnology that is in your nervous system, that has bonded with your nervous system. And so that's an activation of that. If you know what it is, the way you can protect yourself is you can tell your spirit, sort of put in your spirit yourself in the spirit bubble, and then what you can do is you use your universal law of tenfold rule. What you do is you tell your spirit, and your spirit will do it. You have to trust in your spirit. She's just told you that your spirit is more powerful than any of their technology altogether. What you can do is tell your spirit, this is where your power, this is as a human being, this is your power. You are the most powerful creator there is, because you have full direct access to internal source creation, and you have ability and capability to create from it your external world, your external frequency. You can do that, and you can ask your spirit to say, whatever that energy is coming at me to activate that technology within me, tell your spirit to turn it around and send it back tenfold, because that's the universal law, and they know of it. And if we, humanity, do that, imagine that same frequency amplifying tenfold and hitting them back. So think of that wave X. If we as humanity do that, this could be fireworks out there. So anyway, that just got a little bit off track. Anyway, back to Heather's video, Heather's talk, and she admits that their understanding of free will choice is a program, and then that program of free will choice is implemented through the soul frequency, meaning through the programs, through your head, and all of that stuff. In the last 3 minutes, again, is another sort of, just that last 3 minutes probably will have to be another video here. But what I want to say is, I want to say to Earthlings, you are the power. look at this desperate things that she's saying, and how much value she puts on the human DNA. And for those of us that have realized that about ourselves, we realize how powerful our spirit is, that for this video that she put up is just a proof of how powerful we are. How powerful we are, and how desperate and needy these collectives are. I mean, I'm sorry, Sphere Alliance, but you're so looking so desperate and so, oh, you know, and the people that, you know, like this Heather, I don't know you. You might have been a good human if you would have ever been allowed to be a human. But what you are right now, and people that are like that, this guy named Bill, I don't know any of them, I never heard of them before, but I mean, like, you know, whoever else is connected to the Sphere Alliance in trying to bring their information in, and it's very technological and all of that stuff. I mean, to these people that have been taken over, because this is what they are. They've been taken over, you know, by these entities, by this consciousness. What you have become, it's a sad situation, because okay, if I haven't used word shit yet, you know, you guys don't know my videos. I can't make a video without using the word shit. So all of that information, all of this stuff, and everything what just Heather talked about, 99% of the time of this video that's out there, that's astral shit. And if you guys seen my video, how astrals take our creative force and put through their sort of through their process, and then what we get, if we trust them to create for us, what we get is shit. So what we get is astral shit here on the planet. So these people like Wilcox, this goody guy, this you know, Heather, Bill, Denise, or whatever her name is, they are just the, you know, they're nothing as a human being. They're nothing because they allow themselves to be taken over. And so what they became is just a shithole that brings in to the planet astral shit. So you're just a shithole. And you want humanity to respect you? If you disrespect yourself that much that you are willing to become a shithole for astral shit. It's disgusting. How is humanity to respect you? We can't respect you. We can only respect humanity within each human being. So my spirit feels very bad for your spirit, because you have it and it's somewhere in the background, sitting there, used and abused, because you allow the entities to take over you. You, the powerful creator that you are as a human being. This is the part that might sound mean from me, but for you to bring yourself down and accommodate yourself to the point that all you are is just a shithole for astral shit, it's your responsibility And you, as a human being, for as long as you have this human body, you have the power to say no. I am a human being, and I'm standing on this planet that has nurtured me and given me the experience of being a creator. This is to all the shitholes. There is a whole list of shitholes that we can put together. All of the shitholes, like Wilcox and all other people that are bringing in this shit here. You are a human being first. Humanity will never respect you for bringing yourself, your human self, to that low of a standard that you're just a shithole. And the more we move forward, the more we go on, the more obvious it's going to become who is who. So right now, this video is over 1 hour. Sorry, I tried to keep it under 1 hour. But I will probably have to make a part 2 on this. So thank you guys for listening. For Earthlings, keep on. Our planet is supporting us full on. Full on. It is incredible. And I love you all so much for standing with your planet and allowing yourself to be as powerful as she is, and for allowing yourself to feel that power within your own spirit. We realize just how incredibly powerful she is. Her power is enormous. And with all this stuff, and they talk about the show, you know, the Sphere Alliance, and so Heather talked about the show. You know what the planets tell me? And so Wave X is part of the show and all this other stuff. And just like I was saying, you know, this is the punches that they had sort of planning and all of that stuff on Earth's timeline. So all of that is what I call, or the event is Cobra. Another shithole is Cobra. So all of this is part of it. So this is what they call it here in this case, show. And you know what the planet is telling me? That the only show they're going to be able to see is their own self-destruction. Because the planet remembers her power now. And for those of you that AI possessed people, you will understand what I'm saying. The only show you may see is your self-destruction, because the planet remembers the universal law of 10 folds. And so, you know, it's like if you send this wave, and then Earth is using universal law, and will turn and return that frequency 10 folds, what is it going to do to you? Think about it, because you guys don't think about that. You think the planet is still in amnesia. She is not in amnesia. She is fully awakened. She is actually playing your game in fooling you, but through your ignorance, you think she's in amnesia. And you can hit her, and she will not use the universal law to defend herself. So the only show humanity will get is you destroying yourself with that frequency. So, yeah, ignorance. Ignorance. It's an ignorance of this planet power. So maybe you should use your ability to collect data and collect some data on the fact how powerful this planet is. Because you have no idea who you're dealing with. And with us humans that are in harmony with her, if you want to bring the show, you might get surprised that we are actually gonna get the show. We might watch fireworks. I mean, if you want to put on that show for us, bring it on. All right, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon, guys.